Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Aaron is about to come on and bring some heat to your face. Oh my gosh, talk about LinkedIn. This dude is an absolute networking powerhouse helping you succeed in business and in life. So stay tuned. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the sponsored message. If you are an influencer, an entrepreneur, a world changer, purpose-driven entrepreneur, send me a message. If you want support, I have some coaching programs and masterminds to help you get your message out to the world in a big way. Start your podcast, ignite your movement. Let's do it. Chris at beyourgps.com or find me on Facebook or Instagram. Looking forward to talking to you. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and this week, let's see who it's by. It's by S. Perrant. S. Perrant says, amazing. I appreciate everything that is expressed and conveyed when I listen to Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self with Chris Burns. It helps me to go a step forward toward greater success and a path of enlightenment. Thank you so much, S. Perrant. I appreciate you. If you're out there listening or watching right now, you want to give us some feedback, you want to help us grow the show, make it even better, deliver more of what you want and love. Go to beyourgps.com/iTunes. You can find the place to review there. You can subscribe. You can stay connected with all this amazing content, these amazing human beings like Scott, who's about to come on, and just stay connected. So beyourgps.com/iTunes or Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Search that on iTunes and you'll find it. Go give us a review and rating, all that good stuff, and stay connected. Looking forward to hearing from you. Next, I'm going to read this introduction of this incredible human being. Before that, though, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes because you're going to hear some actionable strategies. You're going to hear how you can really use your story to pave the way to your success, to be your greatest possible self. Make sure you stay from start to finish because remember, in a story, the start is just the beginning, and at the end, that's what you want to get to. You want to get to the climax, to the exposition, to the best parts. So make sure you stay all the way through because this is going to be gold. Let's introduce him, and then we'll bring him on the screen. Mr. Scott Aaron is an internationally acclaimed and award-winning network marketer, business coach, best-selling author, and speaker. He is the go-to specialist when it comes to converting traffic, establishing connections, creating residual income using LinkedIn, and building personal brands. And we're blessed to have him here with us today. Scott, you ready to rock the house, bro?
I'm ready. Dude, I just got to tell you, one, I love your haircut. So that's first and foremost. I love your haircut. But two, I know how hard you work. You know, you and I connected months back, and it took us this long to make it happen. But I just have to give you credit where credit is due. You have such an incredible work ethic and doing these marathons the way that you're doing, but you giving people like me and other people that you interview that platform in the spotlight to really share their gifts with the world, because there is a movement going on right now and you are absolutely a catalyst for making it happen. So I just gotta share that appreciation and gratitude to you.
Thank you. I received that. I own it. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you, man. And
you got it,
we're
brother.
Blessed to have you here, dude. We're going to dive in. The very first question is master your message. I've been working on mastering my message. You have mastered your message in a big way, man. What does that mean for you? Master your message.
So mastering your message is, in a world inundated with social media, with digital marketing and opt-ins and all, you see so much going on right now. My prior career to business coaching, I was a brick and mortar business owner. I had a couple health clubs. I was a full-time personal trainer and nutritionist. But I spent 65,000 hours working one-on-one with clients in my career. Damn. So you talk about the 10-year or 10,000 hour habit. I did that by 6.5 times. Damn. And what I learned in all of that is to be a really good listener. And to even more so to be a great connector. And I think that people have become really desensitized to the power of human connection with social media. And what I can share with people on how to, share your story and to create a message is think about how you would want to receive a message. How like I always tell people, put yourself on the other side of the mirror, whether it's someone messaging you or DMing you or whatever it is. How would you respond to something, and what would you want that message to look like? And that's the type of message that you want to craft. Yeah. So for me, everything I do comes from the heart, because I truly do want to learn about as many people as possible, because the more people that you can connect with, the more rapport you can have, the more relationships you can build, and the greater impact you can have.
Totally.
So acknowledging, number one, acknowledging someone's name. If you're going to message someone, you don't just send them an automated message that's from some sort of bot. Hey Chris, great to connect with you. And you know, like, so when I take people through this process, they're like, really, that's all you're doing? And people forget how simple it is to just communicate. And then the second part is always the nature or reason behind you reaching out. You know, Chris, I saw you doing some big things and you got a great podcast, would love to learn more about it. There's the body. And then you always finish with a call to action. Anytime for a call next week to talk about what you're up to and what I'm up to. Questions lead to answers. And most people, what I'm finding, because I'm a victim of this, I was just making statements. I would say, Chris, great to connect with you. Let me know when's good for you to connect. So it's this open-ended thing where I'm now leaving it up to that person to respond back to me. So I always remind people, questions will always lead to answers.
And especially if it's like an open-ended question, the answer is, I don't want to deal with that. It's like, that's too difficult, too much thinking.
Exactly. Clarity is king. The more clear you are about what the intentions are, the more likely someone's going to respond. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you.
Dude, that's awesome. I love it, man. This is gold right off the bat. Scott, tell us a little bit more about what you're working on today, what your clients come to you for. I mentioned it in the bio, but just in your own words, man, give it to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my experience when I was growing my network marketing business, it became very natural to me because, again, I came from a world of selling. And when you're selling personal training packages, when you're selling gym memberships, you know, I always did it from a genuine and authentic place. And I always would ask people questions, you know, what are you looking for in a personal trainer? What are you looking for in a gym? And before I would even give them a tour of the gym, I would ask that question. They would tell me, well, I'm looking for this, that, or the other. So I wouldn't show them things that they weren't interested in. I would then take them on a tour of the gym geared towards what they wanted to see, which enabled me to close more sales. What I found in network marketing, it was a similar thing. So a lot of people do what I call posting and praying or scrolling and trolling. And they think that they think hitting the post button on social media is recruiting for their business. And I was finding this very early on. I'm like, all right, you know, this is a numbers game. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest aha moments for me was I was at a personal development event with an amazing trainer named David T.S. Wood. And there was a point in the conference where he took some of the top leaders in the room and he brought them onto the stage. And there was a whiteboard sitting behind him. And he said to the first person, he goes, listen, take this pen, go to the whiteboard and write down how many conversations that you have had to get to where you are right now. And they wrote a number down. Call the next person, they grab the pen, they go up, they write the number down. So he did this with like 5 or 6 people. And at this time, I'm sitting in my seat and I'm getting momentum in my business, but I'm only using Facebook and Instagram really to grow my business because that's all I was being taught, because the person that was teaching me, that's all they knew. And you will only learn what that person was taught, and so on, because that's the thing. You will only know what you learn. So I'm looking at this board and I'm seeing all these numbers. And the smallest number I saw was 7,000 conversations. 7,000. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, it's a lot of conversations, but it's doable. And then I thought about Facebook, which only allows you 5,000 friends. And then you want to erase almost half of them because basically they're already in your opportunity if you're in network marketing, or you've already spoken to them, or they want nothing to do with you. Because people, they're not on Facebook looking for a business. That's not the purpose. And then Instagram, which I love Instagram, but it has the highest ratio of fake profiles to real profiles on social media. There's a lot of autoresponders and DMers and bots and all this stuff. And honestly, all I see is yoga pants and sports bras. That's a lot of what I see going on Instagram, and more power to those people. But and I don't choose to follow those people. That's just who ends up appearing in my feed.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these numbers and I'm like, you know what, this is not going to work. And I started looking around at other social media platforms. I said, where can I create the law of numbers? Strangely enough, it's kind of like the perfect storm, Chris, and this is how things happen. Everything happens on purpose. I was reading a book called Go for No. And if you've never read this book, or if your listeners have never heard of this book, go on Amazon right now and order it. It's by Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton. And the title of the book is Go for No. Yes is the destination, but no is the journey. And I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I started reading this book, and it was talking about your failure quotient and how you have to fail as quickly as possible. You have to get as many no's as possible because the no's lead to yeses.
Yep.
So then I started diving into LinkedIn because I had this profile and I had this account, but, and that's what I hear from people. I'm on LinkedIn, but, and that's where it ends. They don't know. So I started diving into LinkedIn, and this is going back to December of 2015. And I changed some things on my profile, and I started messaging some people. I started messing around with some stuff, and I started to get some real traction. I was getting people actually responding back to me, and I'm like, all right, this is weird, because on Facebook, if you message too many people or if you connect with too many people you don't know, you're going to get in Facebook jail, which I've been multiple times. Very humbling experience. I learned a lot, and it's not going to happen again. So I'm doing all this stuff on LinkedIn, and I reach out to my buddy who's also a professional network marketer, Joe, and I said, Joe, listen, you got to get on LinkedIn. And I said, you have to do A, B, and C. And he said, okay. So he does A, B, and C. And 2 weeks later, he shoots me a text message. He goes, dude, whatever you told me to do, it's working. I have 14 calls booked this week.
Damn.
So I call him. I'm like, what do you mean you have 14 calls? He goes, listen, whatever you are doing and you told me to do, it works. Put structure around it. Start doing videos. Start coaching people. You have something here. So at that same point, I'm reading this book. I'm diving into LinkedIn. My buddy's getting results. And now I'm on a podcast with my business coach, and he wants to hear about LinkedIn. As soon as that podcast ends, my inbox on Facebook starts going boop, 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 boop. And all these people are reaching out to me, teach me LinkedIn, teach me LinkedIn. I get people on the phone. They're like, so how can I hire you? I didn't have any way to take payment. I didn't even have a structure of anything. So I literally, but this is what I do, Chris. This is why I do what I do. I live in a world of creation, not competition or comparison. So I had to create on demand. So I came up with a price, which was really, really low. And that weekend I spent putting together some videos where I could send them to people to instruct them on what to do. And then I had a one-on-one coaching program, and it started to take off. And I started to have people get results. I had someone quadruple their income in 18 months. I had people literally changing the entire scope of their connections and their businesses with this one platform. And it's now been 3 years, Chris. And I can't even express to you how many people still don't know about LinkedIn. And I love bringing awareness and attention to this platform because there are so many things that make it special that people just don't know about, because again, people will only use what they know. And most people are using the most widely used ones, which are Facebook, which is about 4 billion users, and Instagram, which is about 1.6 billion users. So of course, all they're going to know is Facebook and Instagram. And then creeping up behind it is LinkedIn at 600 million and growing. And that's how the book came about. That's how my podcast came about. And that's basically where I'm at today, is because of what I discovered, created, and now teach with LinkedIn.
So you were looking for a solution. You weren't feeling like the Instagram and the Facebook was hitting home for you, and out of that quote unquote like pain or challenge, obstacle, you're like, there's got to be a better way. And so you went on LinkedIn and you started testing some things, shared it with people, and they started getting results. And then they're like, dude, you got to do something with this. You got to build training. You got to build education around this, because LinkedIn is like a hidden asset that a lot of people, it's so funny how quick people are to go to Facebook and to Instagram to build their business. And it's like, well, is that the fastest way to build your business?
Exactly. Well, there's when people say to me, you know, and I work with network marketers, entrepreneurs, you know, business coaches, literally anyone that requires a human being, a physical person to grow their business, whether it's an accountant, you know, a financial planner, real estate agents, real estate investors. You need to be on a platform that supports those numbers. But this is what I tell people. And, you know, whether it's LinkedIn or whatever, there's 3 things that you need to look at when deciding where your time is going to be spent on social media. And that is average age, average income, and the size of the network organically without putting a dollar in that you can grow. Those are the big 3. And this is what I tell people. So what I'm going to share with anything that I share with you on here are facts. My mom always told me, Scott, facts are friendly. So I've always been I love facts. Like I could tell you so many useless facts about things that I've learned along the way. But I love facts. I love knowing things.
Yes.
So here's what I know. The average age of someone on Facebook and Instagram is 18 to 29 years old. Unfortunately, that's not me anymore. I'm going to be 40 next month, and that's not me. The average income of the average user of someone on Instagram and Facebook is $30,000 a year or less. Wow. Now, with me, I have a very high money mindset. So I'm always looking to converse, collaborate, and do business with other people that have the same mindset as mine.
Yep.
And again, like I stated before, the largest organic unpaid network that you can grow on Facebook is 5,000 friends. Now, Instagram and Facebook are the same. They're owned by the same company. Now you look at LinkedIn, which, number one, it's owned by a cybersecurity and technology company in Microsoft, which is already an advantage over all the other ones. So the whole Facebook and Instagram crash that, you know, scared the hell out of people last week, I can't tell you how many text messages I got that said, Scott, was that you? Because they know how much I love. I'm like, no, I did not make anything crash. I did use the hashtag told you so, because that was the second crash in the last 6 months on Facebook and Instagram, and it's not going to be the last. Like, there's going to be issues. Yeah. So here are the numbers with LinkedIn. The average age is 30 to 55 years old with an average yearly income of $100,000 a year or more. Wow. And you're allowed 30,000 unpaid organic connections. Wow. When I learned this, I was like, 6 times larger than Facebook, and the people on there make 3.5 times more income. That's where I need to spend my time. But here's the other beauty of LinkedIn. It is the only social media platform that acts as a search engine. What Microsoft did, which was genius, they embedded search engine optimization on the entire platform. So you can search literally for anyone around the world by city, by state, by country, by province, by profession, current company, past company. Above that, because it's search engine optimized, it is ideal to make sure that your profile stands out, because just like Google, if I was to type in Chris Burns, and if you're doing the right kind of SEO on your website, guess who's going to appear on that first search page?
Chris Burns.
Chris Burns. The same thing has to be applied to your profile on LinkedIn. If you want to get into a certain network, if you're in real estate, you need to make sure you have real estate flowing all through your profile So if someone's searching real estate agent, real estate investor, real estate this, that, or the other, guess who's going to appear on that first search page? Yourself, which means you're more visible, which means you're more connectable, which means you can grow a larger network faster than everybody else. Now, LinkedIn is the only social media platform in the world that hosts and has every single Fortune 500 company in the world on there. Every single Fortune 500 company has a presence on LinkedIn. That says something to me. That says that these people see something in this platform, and that's where they want a lot of their circle and their business being done. It is a networking social media platform where people are looking for opportunities, looking to offer opportunities, collaboration, referrals. It's where people are going to do business.
That's so powerful, man. It's like, it's what it was designed for. It was designed to help people make money. It's like Facebook was not designed to help people make money.
What's Facebook called? The social network. It's for socializing. So if you want to go socialize, and where people are sometimes misconstrued is that they say that I want to make a lot of money, but yet they're spending time on a social network instead of spending time on a professional network, talking to other people that want what they want, which is multiple streams of income that revolve around impacting other people, leaving a legacy behind for themselves and their families.
That's so powerful, man. How would you say LinkedIn compares to YouTube? Because I know that's like a different kind of platform altogether. But I'm curious what your relationship is with the two of those. Do they go together? Do they not go together?
It's like apples to bowling balls. YouTube, I tried to figure out it's just that, like, I'm such a student of the game. I'm always on there. I see all these people are doing these hauls, which all these influencers go on there and they try on clothes. and they get hundreds of thousands of views, or people are doing eating stunts or workout videos. And YouTube has, I had a monetized channel at once, but they changed the curriculum for it, so it was demonetized. But here's the thing, I'm all about rules and regulations, but YouTube is a very competitive market, and for someone to be what they call a YouTuber, it's not a great way to live your life. I love being on camera, I love doing interviews, I love being on social media, but to live my life with a GoPro and documenting everything that I do and having my own reality show, I just need a greater work-life balance, and it just wasn't feeling authentic to me. I was not aligned with how people are using YouTube. I like having more of a personal connection with people on social media. I love being able to jump on a Zoom or a Facebook Live or send a voice message on Instagram or on LinkedIn or Facebook. I love being able to get as close as I can to someone that's miles away from me.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. And it's like, we talked about connection, human connection. That was one of your greatest gifts that had you accelerate and succeed in your previous industry, And I think that that's something that social media, especially LinkedIn, it creates the opportunity for that connection of professionals. And that's what we want to do. If we want to make money, if we want to build empires, hey, professionals, executives. How do I surround myself with more executive level thinkers, movers, shakers, people building empires? That's who I want to surround myself with.
100%. And I think, going back to clarity, when you have the right kind of vision of where you want yourself in your business, and I made a post the other day on social media, and I said actions will always speak louder than words, and a lot of people are just doing this. They're just talking. I'm an action first person. So, and I walk the walk and I talk the talk. Don't just tell someone that you want to be massively successful. Don't tell someone you just want to be an entrepreneur. It's what you do behind closed doors that people aren't seeing. That's where the real work is done. People don't realize it's 10:30 Eastern Standard right now where we're jamming out, and I was making sure that my energy and my vibration was high all day.
Yeah.
I've been on calls all day. I recorded a TV show earlier. I had my son, picked him up from school, and had dinner at my mom's. But I had to make sure that I showed up the way that I want myself to be seen and the way that I would want to see myself.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for anything that you do. And I love the saying, the way that you do the one thing is the way that you do everything. So everyone has to get more aligned with their words. If you want something bad enough out of life, you will do whatever it takes to go get it and make it happen. And Chris, in all honesty, I feel that people are playing for mediocre.
Yep.
And playing for mediocrity is going to leave you with a very unsatisfied life. And I'm very blessed that I still have two grandparents that are alive. My grandfather is 91. My grandmother is going to be 92 next month on Earth Day. God bless her. And I always talk to them. And they were born in the 1920s. So they've seen everything happen and go on. And, my great uncle, before he passed earlier last year, it was around Mother's Day, and I was sitting at the kitchen table with him, and he goes, Scotty, he goes, don't forget, he goes, family is everything. And that's one of my driving forces. My fiance, my son, my mom, my dad, like my whole family. That is my driving force. That is my why. I want to create such a lasting legacy for those around me. That's my fire. That's what drives me every single day. And I think a lot of people, they don't have the clarity, but they're not really sure what they want. And once you find that passion, once you find that fire, there is no one thing that can ever extinguish that unless you let them do that. And that's what I love, knowing that I'm the only one that's going to ever extinguish my fire, because no one else has the power to do that.
That's right. It's like I was talking to a couple of people on the marathon, my business partner, talking about the inner world, right? It's like how you experience life in the inner world is how it gets reflected in the outer world. If you feel powerless, if you feel sad and brokenhearted, disappointed, ashamed, guilty, playing small, whatever it might be, like that's going to reflect outside. And so we get to get aligned pure in our power, in our stand, in knowing who we are, knowing that we're the creator, knowing that if it is to be, it's up to me. I'm responsible for my life. Like when we cultivate that fire, that knowingness, it's inextinguishable, unstoppable.
There's such a comforting power in knowing that everything is possible if you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And I talk to people all the time, and my fiance actually said it to me earlier today, and she goes, everyone has to hit their version of rock bottom to really catapult them to new levels. Like, and that rock bottom looks different for everyone. I've had multiple rock bottoms, but it could be getting a bad diagnosis for an illness. It could be someone in your family passing away. It could be losing a business. It could be losing a relationship. Everyone has to, and that's the thing. Everyone gets into action when their back is against the wall, right?
Yep.
And so if there's no circumstances going on in their life, they're kind of just tiptoeing around life, arriving at their grave safely, as they say.
Yeah.
And I've never been a tiptoeer. I've always been dealt hands that some people may say, wow, that's a real shitty hand. I would not want to be dealt that. But the thing is, the motto that I live by, Chris, is that your failures will always open the doors to your successes.
That's
so
right.
Again, this goes back to the failure quotient. If you want to learn how to succeed most, you have to learn how to fail most, because from failure comes success. Everyone thinks you can't expect to hit a bullseye on a dartboard with your eyes closed. You got to open your eyes, and even when your eyes are open, you're not going to hit a bullseye every single time. You're going to miss.
Right.
And you just have to keep going until something does hit, because something will.
Do you find that you have to do some mindset training and coaching in the LinkedIn training? Is that like a core part of it, or do you feel like most people are just, hey, let me dive into the system?
It's interesting that you say that, because what's been coming to the surface lately in the last, I would say 2 to 3 months, everything comes in ebbs and flows.
Yep.
And what I've been getting back from people, not yet, yes, their business is changing. Yes, they're having more conversations, but two things they are saying to me that is just amazing. Number one, they feel more confident as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because now they have a strong, I am an organizational freak.
Yep.
I live by organization. I have a paper planner. I have different color highlighters. I don't do anything before 10 a.m. every single day. Like, that is my sanctuary time.
Yes.
And I teach people this. And, not only are they feeling more confident, but even more than that, they keep telling me their posture has never been better.
Wow.
They're standing straighter. They're getting people on the phone. They're unaffected by the words that are coming out of this person's mouth, and they're just carrying themselves different. And they're standing in their power. And everyone has, just like you said, it's this internal thing. It's there's such peace and power at the same time inside of all of us. And and I look to my son a lot. He's 6.5, and perfect example. We were coming out of my mom's tonight, and he's like running in the parking lot, and he like jumps off a curb and totally just bites it, and just like tumbles over. It was like almost like from a comic book, like where the superhero, they like jump off the cliff and then it's like boo, and they just drop right down. That's what he looked like. And he's sitting there and he's like just looking at me, and I'm like, come here, and I sit him down, and I gave him a kiss on his knee, because it was all scraped up, and I'm like, you look like a cartoon right there, and he just started laughing, but this was the amazing thing. He dusted himself off. And he continued to walk to the car to go home. He didn't let that past experience affect him. He started running right away again. So I learned from him is that, you fall, you get back up. You fall, you get back up. You fall, you get back up. You take chances. The people that risk the most are rewarded the most. Yeah. And look to kids, whether you're an aunt, you're an uncle, you're a mother, you're a father, look to those little people because they have no distractions. All they know is they want to be an astronaut and a vet, and they want to do this and they want to do that, and they want to learn this and teach me this. How do I do this? They're always wanting to absorb and learn. And as adults, you can absolutely tap back into that. That sponge that was there when we were 5, 6, 7 on, it's still there waiting to soak up new information if you choose to tap into it.
Yes, dude, I love it. What role did personal development and training play in your journey? And were there any key transformations or moments where it made all the difference for you?
Absolutely. Personal development is paramount. We were not put on this earth to struggle or just get by or live paycheck to paycheck, which you hear a lot of people say. That's just BS. I don't believe people should ever be running out of money at the end of every month. That's not why we were put here. And, one of the first things that I did when I got into network marketing, because, you hear the saying, if you have friends that do network marketing, it's a compensation plan. It's a personal development journey with a compensation plan attached to it. Yep. So, and I was earning as I was learning, and I was learning as I was earning. And I started reading books, and I hired a business coach. And my first business coach, Jeffrey Combs, amazing mindset coach. And he really made me realize that I was allowing a lot of my past stories to literally halt my future successes. No. And he brought some things to the surface, and I was playing small in a lot of areas of my life. And one of the most difficult things for any one person to do is to actually confront yourself. It was so easy for me as the codependent person that I was most of my life was to point the finger at everybody else. No, it's Chris's fault. It's Steve's fault. It's Joe's fault. It's their fault. But it's no one's fault. I had to start taking ownership of myself.
Take your power back. Take your power back too.
No one was going to do it for me. No one's waking up and saying, "Hey, Scott, I wanted to give you a call. Can I pay some of your bills today?" No one's No one's making that phone call. You have to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of hiring a business coach when I absolutely couldn't afford to, and I'll tell you that. Like, I don't think anyone could ever, afford anything at any specific time. But I dove in when I had to. Yeah. But above all else, it was also about me starting to read and I'll be completely transparent. I started getting into personal development in 2013. Mm-hmm. The first book, starting to read again in 2013. The last book prior to that was the first Harry Potter. That's how long it had been since I picked up a book.
Damn.
And I haven't put them down since. But above that, I started practicing gratitude.
Yes.
And I started journaling. And there are probably a lot of people that are going to hear this, and whether they're into personal development or not, it may sound hokey to you. And I get that, because reading and journaling and tapping into your feelings and like that may seem very airy fairy to people, but I'm telling you right now, it is so cleansing every single day to sit down, and whether it's just to speak it out loud, because Jay Shetty said it the other day. He goes, it is emotionally and scientifically impossible when practicing the art of gratitude to be sad or unhappy at the same time.
Wow.
Because when you're living in gratitude, it is a feeling, it is an emotion, it is a state of being. So it was the combination of doing some business coaching, bringing things to the surface, reading books, listening to podcasts, saying what I was grateful for each day, and journaling and realizing. And one of the greatest books I read was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
And he talked about, most people, there's three types of people in this world. There's the people that live in fear, there's the people that live in anxiety, and there's the people that live in peace. And the people that live in anxiety are the ones that are replaying the tapes of their old stories and, oh, woe is me, and they're carrying the baggage of life around with them. Yep. And then there's the people that live in fear, who are fearful of the future, of things that haven't even happened yet. They're just creating news stories. Yeah. But then there's those people that live in peace. And this is where I strive to live every single day, and it's called the now. Yeah. Because the present time, right now, is the only time scientifically you can control, because what's already happened has happened, and what is going to happen is going to happen. You can't control that, but you can control how you are right now. So being in a state of mind and a place of peace really helps me show up every single day the way that I want myself to, and the way that I want others to see me as well.
This is gold. This is like the perfect transition about not living in the past, not living in the future, and we can utilize what's happened, or our story about what's happened in our future, our vision, to create more success and like really catalyze us into action. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So anchoring back to a story, and I love sharing my story, because it's powerful, but a good storyteller can paint a picture with their words and that's why I love The Alchemist. I love that book because I love visual type books, and that's how Go for No is. I like reading a book, and as I'm reading it, I'm creating a vision in my head. I'm creating my own story. So when you really want to get your point across to someone, letting people know what your story is, and the show that I have on the internet is called Success Made Simple. And the first half of my show is literally the person diving into their story, where they came from, what was their impactful moment, what was that person or that moment that shifted your life. And this is what you need to share with people, because people see the glory, but they need to know the story. Yep. Because the idea of a story, and this is what I want you guys to understand. If someone has never met you in your entire life, you literally could summarize however long you have lived in about 7 to 14 minutes if you can properly tell your story.
Totally.
So whenever I go onto a podcast, or wherever I'm doing a talk, or if I'm doing an interview, the first 7 to 12 minutes is always my story, because I want that person by the end of my story to say, oh my God, I know this guy. And you always, and this is what you do, you need to paint a picture, but I always talk about my upbringing, you know, where I came from. I grew up in a traditional Jewish household, which means you have a very overbearing mother, and she still is. I still have to send her my itinerary, and I have to text her when my plane lands. At 39 years old, being a father, yes, I still have to do that. But it also meant my parents fought a lot of my battles for me. So I ended up getting bullied and picked on because I had very low self-confidence, I had low self-esteem, and I was a codependent person. So, and I share this story not out of pride, but out of example. And I was a freshman at the University of Pittsburgh. And it was my first semester, and I woke up and it was finals week, and I had a sociology final, and I woke up and I was like, shit, I don't know where my final is. So what did the codependent version of me do? I called my mom back in Philadelphia, 430 miles away, and I said, hey mom, it's me. I don't know where my final is. And what does she do? She hangs up, she calls the school, she finds out where my final is, she calls me back, and she says, here's where you need to go. But this is how, like, this was ingrained. This was the way things were. So, you know, I was bullied and picked on, but the most impactful moment for me, the shape-shifting moment for me, was when I was 18 going on 19. I was a freshman going into my sophomore year of college, and my father, I'm fourth generation entrepreneur. My great grandfather came over from Eastern Europe. He was a butcher in South Philadelphia. Wow. My grandfather, who is 91, was a pharmacist for 55 years. My father has also been an entrepreneur, has owned multiple businesses, and now myself. So my father was an entrepreneur, and he was, you know, moving on from one business to another. And I remember it was summertime, and we always barbecued. So my mom was barbecuing, and like, I just have such vivid memories. I remember, you know, it was that transition period in the summer while the fireflies are out. So you look out and you just see a flash here, a flash there, a flash here, a flash there. And my dad sat us down and he said, listen, I need to talk to you guys. And this was more directed at myself and my sister, who's 3 years younger. And he said, listen, this new company I'm with, there's some things going on, and we're actually under investigation, and I am cooperating, but there is a chance that I may get house arrest for a little while. And even that scared me to death, like thinking that like something that bad could go wrong. So, you know, the proceedings went on, and, you know, my dad with the lawyers, and I was writing letters to the judge and all the things that we had to do. And then it came to sentencing day. And again, remember, implanted in my head, programmed in my head, was house arrest. Where everything changed is when I was sitting in that courtroom, and I can still remember what it smelled like. It was, you know, it was dark and dingy and brown, and, you know, like it had those wooden benches. Yep. And I remember turning to my right, and on the right side, the side opposing my father, against him, was my own family. And I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good. So the judge went on with his proceedings, and they got to the point in the sentencing where my father was given a chance to speak. And he stood up. My father is an emotional person. He was my coach through everything, inspiring person, motivating person. And he started crying. And I could not remember the last time I saw my father cry. And at that point, I knew it was not good. And the judge went on to then sentence my father to 24 to 36 months in federal prison. And this was my defining moment. This was where I am today is because of that moment. I was forced to leave University of Pittsburgh and come back to Philadelphia and re-enroll at Temple. And my father had, at that point, with the help of my two grandfathers, purchased our first health club in Old City, Philadelphia, which was then turned over to me for $1 when my father went away. But the secondary defining moment where I realized, going back, where I was dealt all those hands, and whether you can hold them or you can fold them. My father turned around to me as the prison guards were approaching his car door, ready to open it and escort him into the prison. He turned around to me and he said, "Now you're the man of the house." That statement, that's a brain tattoo in my head.
Dude, it is.
And that moment, I knew what I had to do. I had to grow up at 18, 19 years old like that. I had to take care of my mom and my sister. I had to be strong. And it was that moment, it was that mindset that I had. And again, there's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been bankruptcies. There's been, 2 divorces. There's been, becoming millionaire, losing it all 2.5 years later. There were so many things that happened along the way. But that moment, that is what set me on the course. And when people ask me, how would you define your life in a word? I would say resilient. Because the only way I know is to continue to move forward. Not forgetting, forgiving, but not forgetting, but constantly moving forward. And it doesn't matter whether I'm crawling, walking, jogging, running, or sprinting. As long as I am moving in a forward direction, I am always going to be an agent of change, and I am always going to be in momentum in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and it's powerful because you use these defining moments to shape the man that's with us today, to constantly leverage it as a springboard to go to the next level. Whatever setback happens, you say, hey, this challenge, I got it, but look at all these things that I've already overcome and who I am today. I got this. And you leverage it and you go to the next level. You be persistent. How did you go through that process? How did you learn how to do that and to relate to your story like that? How can our audience do that same thing?
So, it's hard to put into words. It's more of a feeling. And what I can share, it's easier for women, I feel, because women inherently are very good at expressing their emotions, and they're very good at explaining how they feel. And where I was really lacking, but I had it inside of me, I've always been an emotional male. I've always had a very good masculine and feminine energy. I was always the guy that was in the friend zone with all the girls. I was everyone's best friend. I was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And what I can share with people is that we all have these moments in our life, and we're all storytellers. It's just some people are choosing to bury them down deep instead of letting your light shine.
Yeah.
So an exercise that I do with some of my personal clients is called forgiveness letters. And what I have people do is I have them go back to their life and to write 3 to 5 forgiveness letters to those people in their life that they truly feel affected them in some way, shape, or form in a negative way. Because it's never the positive. We always remember the positive influence. There's nothing bad we can say about it, but it's always the negative things. And I think everyone at some point in their life has been through some form of trauma.
Yeah.
And you don't have to mail these letters to these people, but I wrote these letters, and I, and my father, and I had a lot to forgive him for, because I had a lot of resentment and anger towards him. My mother, my son's mother, myself.
And I was thinking of that. I was like, I would write one to myself.
I wrote one to myself because I spent a lot of years beating myself up. And Mel Robbins, who's the the New York Times bestseller of the 5-second rule, she talks about if we all had external microphones literally implanted in our head, where it was broadcasting the negative thoughts that we were thinking, where everyone else could hear them, people would run for the hills. And that's the truth. I had so much negativity going on up here. It would just repel people.
Yeah.
But my only advice to those that don't know how to share their story and they're not really sure where to start is start forgiving yourself and start forgiving those that are causing you to stay stuck in your story. Because it's not about moving past your story. It's about acknowledging your story and how you've triumphed since. And here's the thing. If you are alive to tell your story, you are already victorious. You're just choosing to replay those tapes as if life has never moved on, and it has. And I'm going to tell you this much. If you don't stop playing that tape, you are going to continue to miss all the beautiful things that are happening around you every single day.
So true. Dude, this is gold, Scott. And I love the forgiveness letters. I love really being able to acknowledge that story as the past and like let it go, let it go. You like reframe it, choose to see how you've triumphed since it, because of it, in spite of it. It's powerful, man.
No, you just said it, because when you go back and you read these forgiveness letters, you're like, oh my God, these are all the things that I have overcome. So you're actually writing your own story.
Yeah.
You're writing your own story out. So then you're sitting in your power, you're sitting in your present body, and you're like, wow, I got through that. I got through that. And I got through that. Yeah. So now you have to take that story and you have to birth positivity from it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then start sharing it, because the one thing that I've learned in being vulnerable and genuine and authentic on social media, the way that I am and the way that you are, is that most people feel like they're alone in life. They feel like they're the only one that's ever gone through whatever they have gone through.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for people to share their story, because you don't know who you're going to impact. And that's the thing. You don't have to impact millions of people or thousands of people or even hundreds of people. Your job is to impact just one new person a day.
That's right.
Because if they're impacted in a positive way, it's like the domino effect.
Yep.
That person is going to look to impact someone else, who's going to look to impact someone else, and on and on. And that's where you get this tidal wave of a shift that's going on right now. And I feel like, I feel it. Like, I know there is a big shift going on this year. It's happening, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. And I keep seeing more than ever, everyone's 2019's my year, 2019's my year.
Yes.
And I'm seeing it more and more, and I'm seeing more and more people practicing personal development. And you see it now a lot from people in Hollywood even too. You can tell.
Yep.
Like, I mean, Will Smith, Oprah, you can really see those people that really practice positivity, gratitude, thankfulness, and appreciation, because they're human beings just like us. You don't think they have their own stuff they're going through? At the end of the day, they're still going to sleep in a bed just like us. And I tell people, everyone shits and all shit stinks. Everyone has stuff going on. Everyone does.
Yes.
So, you're not that special or that important where your stuff isn't more or less important than someone else. But if you do have a story, it deserves to be heard and it deserves to be shared. And don't be fearful of sharing it. Be fearful of not sharing it, because you don't know who you're not going to impact by doing that.
I love it, man. I love it, Scott. This is gold, and I want to wrap it up. Final takeaway that you just really want people to own, either about LinkedIn, about their story. We've really covered some gold. You can recap. You can share something new. Final takeaway, man.
Final takeaway is this, and above all else, I love LinkedIn because it really allows you to be in a space and a place where you're really with big thinkers, and you're with you're putting out thought-provoking content. But the simple thing that I want to leave people is this: your failures will truly always open the doors to your successes. And if you really do want to live the most abundant and incredible life possible, you have to take risks every single day. And here's the thing, the question I want to leave all of you guys, and you can write it down, you can message Chris, because I would love to hear your answers and he can share them with me. This is a question that I ask at the end of every interview that I do, every podcast that I do, every TV interview that I do. I always ask people, what does success mean to you? And there is no wrong answer. So whoever's watching this, write that answer down, DM Chris, email him, tag him on Facebook, what success means to you, and he'll send it back to me, because whatever your answer of success is, that's the path that you need to go down. And it's going to look different. It may be, being wealthy, being happy, being in alignment. But when you define your happy and what your version of success is, hold on to that with everything that you have and don't lose sight of it, because your vision of success is what is going to drive you to do what you want to do every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that clarity. Clarity equals power, man. This is gold. And Scott, we can tell you're an amazing coach. You're an amazing provider of wisdom, of education, and empowerment to people to become their greatest possible self. I want to know, how do these amazing human beings in our audience stay connected with you, continue their journey, and even grow with you, man? What can we do with you?
Absolutely. You can. My regular website is scottaaron.net. That's where you can find a little bit more about my services. But I'm very present on social media, on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Obviously, it's Scott Aaron, and I'm very active on Instagram at Scott Aaron LinkedIn on Instagram. I take a very prominent role in responding back to anyone that messages me, that comments. I'm very active with my following, because they're the reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing. So do not hesitate to reach out to me. People, the one thing that my fiance always says is that she goes, I've never met someone who makes themselves so available to everyone, because that's the thing. If you want to be a part of the people, you got to be with the people, and that's where I'm at.
That's right. I love it, dude. You are an incredible human being. So everyone, you heard it, scottaaron.net, and search Scott Aaron on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and then it's Scott Aaron LinkedIn on Instagram to connect with you. And go send Scott a message. Let him know you found out about him through becoming your greatest possible self. And Scott, dude, your big heart, you are making a massive contribution to people, and I'm super excited to see your personal legend that you're building and creating in the world, man. It's really inspiring, so keep up the great work, man.
Thanks, brother. Again, appreciate you, grateful for you, and thank you for everything that you are doing with your greatest possible self, because you are really making a difference, and giving people like me the platform to share my voice and my message. I owe it to you, so thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.